Hello, biomedical innovation students. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on for December 3rd and 4th. Make myself a little smaller here. And so let's get into that. So the main thing that you're doing December 3rd when you're in classes, you're going to be working on the banana suturing lesson. If you want to look ahead, if you want to look at it a little bit more, there's a video we'll watch in class. I'm not going to go over that now because you'll be in class for this, but there's banana suturing tutorial video where someone talks through that as well. So that assignment, I'll explain in class how to turn that in. You're going to do a video of yourself doing one suture on that. So I'll explain more about that then. Then you just have a lot of time to work on your ER project. So in your EdHeads trauma and stop the bleed assignment. And we will go over this stuff next week. So I'll address what you should have gotten out of that a little bit more next week. So we'll go through the results on it. So for now, you'll submit that, but we'll talk about it more on Monday and Tuesday. I really want to give you time to get a lot of work done on your ER project so I can then kind of give you feedback next week on it. I did add a ER project checklist. And in here, these are really the things I'm looking for on the final version of your ER. And so you're going to have a presentation. I would recommend that you have an accompanying like Google Slides presentation that would go along with your ER design that you're going to present. So let's talk about this. So these are kind of the minimum things that you should have in your model. So you should should be clear how the patients are going to enter the ER. How are ambulances going to bring patients in? Because ambulances patients coming from an ambulance will go in a different door than patients who bring themselves to the ER. So show the access with hallways where that's going to be. It doesn't need to be too overdone, over the top, but show where that's going to be, where patients enter. How are you going to, where's like the reception desk? So you can show their mode of travel through there. And then there should be multiple types of rooms for specific medical situations. Now, if you're going to have, let's say, a psych room, psychology, or psychiatric condition rooms, where someone is, potentially going to harm themselves, you don't need to show 3 or 4 of that same room. You really just need to show one of those kinds. So I just want to see one. If you feel like you need to put multiples of some of them, that's fine too. But I want to see the different kinds of rooms that you're going to have for the specific medical situations. Obviously, in a real emergency room, you might need more than one of a certain type of room. But really, we're kind of looking at a sample of everything that you can do. So, triage area. How are patients that need to be triaged coming in? Those who are not highly emergent, that are not red labeled, how are they going to be assessed? And how are they going to be addressed so that, like the Williams case that we read, what we looked at earlier in the mission file, so that somebody who's there for a seemingly minor injury or condition does not end up dying or having some major complications. So how can you get to people quickly, even if they don't seem, particularly emergent? So do you have like smaller rooms with curtains, for instance, or things like that? Where would those be located? And then a central hub for staff. Typically, there's an area, if you look at some of the ER videos, where you have a big board that is obviously has some privacy, where it's not easily viewable by people that are walking through the ER that are not staff. But there should be a central area where charts are kept secure as well, where there's consultation between staff. So kind of like the central hub when they're not in the rooms, where staff is going to be located. If you want to add things in like restrooms and break rooms for the staff and those kinds of things, that's fine as well. I would also suggest, though, consultation areas for families. So if there's situation where maybe a helicopter needs to come and lifeline someone, how are you going to consult with families? You typically don't want to do that out in the open. And how about ER imaging facilities? So you need to be able to have maybe quick X-rays or CTs or MRIs done. Where would those be located? And then laboratory services as well. If you need labs done, labs drawn, maybe you want to have a separate lab facility or quicker access to the lab facility for certain tests. Maybe you want to have rapid test kits located, and that can be some of the innovation stuff. So these are more structural things that you need to think about. And then the other part of this, equally kind of weighted, is the how are you going to address these situations? So you have your scenario. And so I would make a Google Slides presentation. I would recommend you make a Google Slides presentation where you talk about your scenario, present your scenario, and then you talk about how patients are going to flow through the ER. And really, you need to describe the experience of at least 3 different types of patients with different conditions. If you want to use some of those patients from the 12 that you analyzed and use those as examples of people that maybe are just not part of your scenario but have other conditions that you still have to deal with, that would be fine as well. You should mention how patient privacy will be protected. If someone's coming in explaining what condition they have, how are you going to make sure that that's not broadcast to everyone and that their privacy is considered? So how are patients going to flow through the ER from the time they enter to the time that they're either admitted to the hospital or that they're discharged from the hospital? And then you need to address some innovations in technology. So I want you to incorporate some innovative things, some newer technologies or innovations and hope ideally they would relate to your specific situation to make it, your scenario, to make it the response more effective and more efficient. And then, will there be unique staffing? We know there are going to be nurses and nurse techs. There are going to be doctors and physicians, assistants, and nurse practitioners, and housekeeping, and all of those kinds of different roles. But what specialists might you have? What people may be on call that are going to be helpful for your particular scenario? So you have your structure and you have your function of your structure. And this structure that you're building needs to kind of match. So you kind of need to begin, with what's that scenario going to need and design your structure to fit that as well as possible. But then your structure also has to fit the normal emergency room situations as well. So hopefully that's helpful for you to kind of think about those things that I'm going to be looking for for that. One thing on the Lucid chart, some people were asking, okay, this window and this door, the windows and the openings. The doors, you have different angles of doors you can have if you want to. But then how do you do like windows and openings? And so if I want to put a window, it looks like it's a horizontal window only. So how do I put it on? It sure makes sense to put it right here, right? But what about this wall? Well, you'll see it just snaps into whatever wall you put it into, and it will change its orientation to fit that. So a window, go right there. There's a window. Or if I want an opening, this is just a different room. If I wanted an opening right here between these 2 rooms, then I can just drag this. Yes, this looks like a vertical. This looks horizontal. But I can drag this, and you see it will fit like right here. Okay, so now there's an opening, and you can walk between the 2. So that sometimes is helpful when you're dealing with, an infectious patient or something like that, and you don't want to bring, let's say you have a really infectious patient, and you go in to treat them, and you don't want to have to come back out of the hallway. Maybe there's supplies for infectious patients in this area so that you can go in and still access supplies without degarbing all of the PPE. So hopefully that's helpful. And you can. And I would also like to see you put some sort of labels, text boxes or something within each of these rooms. So label like what the room is for, and label the different parts as you go. So by Monday, well, I won't see you until Tuesday. So really, this is for Thursday, Friday. See you Thursday. I won't see you guys Friday because all of you happen to be on Blue. What I would like to see by Tuesday, you're going to get a grade on sort of a progress check, and I would like to see a lot of your design done. I'd like to have something to be able to give you feedback on. So that will be a submission that I'm going to have you guys turn in on Tuesday, but I will look at it actually in class with you. So that's a heads up. I am going to have sort of a grade. I am going to have a grade for a checkpoint at that point on Tuesday. So just to sum up, in class on Thursday the 3rd, you're going to be working on your ER in class a little bit after you do the banana suturing. So you do the banana suturing assignment. If you have time, you can work on your project. I'll consult with you on any of your ER issues at this point. And then Friday essentially is more time to work on the ER. That's due a week from this Friday, December the 11th. This checklist should help you with that. Additionally, don't forget, since this is Thursday, EdHeads Trauma and Subsequent Assignment. I'll talk about it tomorrow, but that's due December 3rd, and then I will we'll go over that a little bit more. Actually, I'll see you on Monday. Never mind, not Tuesday, but anyway, I will talk to you about that more on Monday. We'll sum that up a little bit more. So that's it. Sorry if I rambled, but hopefully it's clear. So when you're not in class, December 3rd and 4th, work on your ER. That's the main thing. As long as you have this EdHeads Trauma and Subsequent Assignment completed. That is it. Thank you, and I will see you soon.